Call to order, please. Arkansas Racing Commission come to order. Roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Yes, sir.
Here.
Lambert. Mr. Lambert. Mr. Bowles. Here. Commissioner East.
Here.
Oh,
Sanford.
yeah.
Commissioner Lance here. Mr. Hunter. Here. Commissioner Anthony. Here.
Very good. Everybody else here, I think everybody pretty well on a first name basis, so let's go ahead and approve the minutes for January 30th. Byron, did you look?
I did.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from January 30th, 2024?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second, all in favor, please say aye. Against? Ayes have it, unanimous. Now we're gonna go in that part and get to the meat of the matter and go with the Attorney General. And then we'll come back to the rulings on Oakland and things like that after we do with this.
Yes, sir, Chairman. I just wanted to report to you all that it's contained in your packets. We've received 9 public comments from the conclusion of the public comment period regarding the Racing Commission's casino rule modifications. That public comment period ended on Friday, March 8th. So those comments are contained in your packet. Of those, we did have 2 comments that recommended rule modifications to the rules that you have presented. If you want to take a look at those, I know that you all were sent these and had an opportunity to review these in advance. One of them that came in is recommending adding a subsection 19 to section 2.13, consisting of what can be described as suitability requirements for the applicants. And my recommendation on that is that we could potentially, if you go with these changes that are recommended, while they're very thoughtful, and we greatly appreciate the citizens and the JPs of commenting and taking the time to sit down and set out these rules and these modifications, that under Amendment 100, I think that any additions of additional suitability requirements could be deemed arbitrary and capricious and could be challenged because Section 4G and H of Amendment 100 set out the document requirements as well as the background checks and of the individuals who are applicants for these casino licenses. So I would recommend that we do not add Amendment or Section 19 to the rules as recommended.
Thank you, ma'am. We do appreciate the comments, and if it makes sense and we can get it done, we do it, but we do appreciate everybody contributing.
The next section came from a resident in Polk County making recommendations regarding the merit criteria and the scoring of the applications. And they spent a lot of time well thought out regarding the rules. I would say that the rules have already given the authority to the commission to set out the rubric, which is where you will have the detailed scoring of the application. So it's not needed to be set out in the rules. That'll be something that you all will entertain once these rules are approved and set out. And your rules provide you with that authority to set that out separately in the rubric of how you're going to score. That's contained under 9A, and 9B also provides that the ranking will be highest to lowest. Therefore, it already has a ranking in there, and you all can set out in your rubric and in your application the guidelines of how you're going to score those. So that authority is already within the rules. And those are the 2 rules that set out changes to the drafted rules as we have before you. We also have 2 residents that sent in objections asking you all to not go forward with the rules based upon their desire to not have a casino in their community. The rest of the public comments that you received were in support of the rules as you have drafted them.
And we respect those people, but our job is to force them out on them.
Yes, sir. And going to that, Amendment 100 says that you shall issue that casino license. So it's my recommendation this time, unless you all have questions for me, is that you all vote to go ahead and move forward with the rules as you originally approved.
Mr. Chairman,
Speak up, please, sir. I almost can hear you.
Mr. Chairman, this is Mark Slam. I'm sorry for being tardy. I'm on now.
It's Mark Lambert.
Okay. I'll stand over there.
I think he was just checking in. He just checking in.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry for my tardiness. I'm on now.
Nope, you're making me look good. I'm usually late. Glad to have you on board.
Thank you.
Anybody would like a discussion on what our council is advising?
I think we need to stick with our council.
I do too. And by the way, let me tell you, it's been a pleasure working with Attorney General this year. And thank you very much.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I have a motion.
What exactly going forward? What is the process?
So the process is that I will have these rules submitted, the public comments summary submitted to BLR this week. And I will do it today or tomorrow after this meeting. I'll do the summary of public comments, submit that. That's the last document that I owe to them so that they can put the rules on the next committee agenda. We're looking at possibly those rules being taken up in the April meeting. Once those are, if they are approved, 10 days after that approval, they will be submitted immediately to Secretary of State. 10 days after that submission, those rules will be in place. At that point in time, we will need to reconvene with another meeting to set out the scoring rubric and application for approval to start the 30 days application period. So you're looking at, depending on when the rules are submitted, whether that's during the fiscal session or after, you're looking at the following month being the month of accepting applications. So if they are approved in April, we'd be looking at certainly having applications possibly being submitted based on y'all's discussions and approval of the rubric as early as May, but certainly this summer.
So what motion are we're
At this point in time, I just wanted y'all to go ahead and do a motion approving the rules as you all originally approved, that you're not going to be making any changes to those rules.
I would make the motion that we approve the rules as we had previously amended with no changes.
So, Mr. Hammond, thank you, Mr. Landers. I have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Let it show it was unanimous, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'm going to step aside so Myron can be up here and run the rest of the meeting.
You might just sit there with me. Okay. Let's see where we are. I need to visit Rudy. Have we got Jim on?
Yes, sir, he should be there.
I'm here on telephone. Good morning.
Okay. Morning. Morning, Jim.
Good morning. We had 13 rulings since the last meeting. 4 of those rulings were for trainers that were cited for violations which required that their horses be scratched. We had 1 careless riding suspension. We had 2 rulings where licenses were rescinded without prejudice. We had 2 rulings where licensees were cited for alcohol violations, where they handled horses while, pardon me?
Will you speak up a little bit? Sorry.
Okay. We had 2 rulings where licensees were cited for alcohol violations, where they were handling horses while under the influence. We had 2 summary suspensions, 1 for failure to pay a fine and 1 for disorderly conduct. The disorderly conduct one resulted in additional ruling where the licensee was denied access to the grounds for the remainder of the race meet. And the other summary suspension was for a failure to pay a fine, and that fine was eventually paid, and that resulted in another ruling reinstating the license of that individual. And I have to say, as far as that careless riding suspension goes, that's only the second one that we've had since the race meet began, and our riders are doing a very good job keeping each other safe out there. We constantly review films with them to point out areas where they aren't riding safely, and it seems to be working pretty well, that we aren't issuing as many rulings for careless riding, but trying to educate them as much as we can.
Thank you, Jim. Going to approve the rulings, do I have a motion? Thank you, Mr. Landers, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony. I have a motion and a second to approve the ruling in Oakland. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Ayes have it, unanimous, please show it. Jim, I'd like to thank you and your crew. I mean, you're kind of like referees in basketball and NFL. Somebody's always going to question you, but I think this has been the least amount of people coming up to me and griping that I've ever had. And I appreciate that.
You're quite welcome. It's great to be working here, and I appreciate that you have the Board of Stewards with you. We're very thankful to be here.
Thank you, sir. Okay, now we have approval changes Arkansas Race Commission Person Awards Fund. Mr. McDowell?
Go ahead and state your name.
Bill McDowell from the Arkansas Thoroughbred Breeders Enforcement Association. Basically, the changes are straightforward. The main change would be we're discontinuing the owner's awards at Oklahoma for Arkansas Bred. That reasoning is the Person Awards Fund has stayed about the same total in the last 5 years. The purses at Oklahoma for Arkansas Breds has increased 2 and 3-fold. Their earnings have amounted to so much, and we're also giving the Arkansas Breds get another $160,000 in the person incentive for them to run in open races. When Arkansas Bred runs an open race, they get an extra amount. But since our Breeders' Person Awards Fund has stayed about the same, our Breeders' Awards percentage has dropped significantly from 14.5% 4 years ago to 8.8% last year. But this was going to allow us to keep it up above 10% by making these changes. And we think it's good for the whole state industry because there's going to be less foals being born. I noticed it at my place already. The mares that went to Louisiana or went to other states. And but basically that's why we're making these changes. We just need some help. And we think, but that's the only place we could find a little money was those two places. The other changes are straightforward. From being able to raise Arkansas register a 3-year-old and not just a 2-year-old with one change. That's if the mare was already done. Everybody did all their paperwork. They just neglected to do the foal that year. That's the only difference. But
Were these changes voted on by membership?
sir,
Were these changes voted on by your membership?
they were voted on by our board, the ATBH board.
So the board of directors approved these changes?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. You said that some mare owners were shipping to Louisiana.
Yes.
Are they bringing the mares back to foal in Arkansas and then breed back? Will they be Arkansas?
No, they'll lay for good.
Why would they do that?
Well, the Breeders' Awards percentage in Louisiana is 25%. So
Like
like,
the purses, one of the purses like 60,000 instead of 140,000.
yes, but when they're 25% and they race year round, it is better down there. They have 3 racetracks or so. But, and this hasn't been huge, but, the people that breed and raise horses that are worth 5 to 25,000 range, breeders' awards are significant, and we just couldn't find enough money elsewhere. We can't. Our purses, the stakes purses, a long time ago, they took 50 or 60,000 out of the purse awards fund. Now they take out 360,000. Plus, this incentive is 160 a year, so it's a pretty big piece out of our purse awards fund. And the main, it's gonna start improving, I think, from the gambling percentage we get. But the live handle is where we lost most of our money from the purse awards fund used to come from live handle, and that live handles increased so much. So we just get half that off the Oklahoma Anywhere. We don't get as big as a percentage from that.
Yes, Mr. Post raised Arkansas bred, and Mr. Anthony had some Arkansas bred also. Does it make sense for y'all to get with them, get a handle on this?
Well, there's been a lot of discussion about this already. Ms. McDowell makes a point that kind of the owners are rewarded already by virtue of placing first, second, or third in an open company race, is that right?
Correct.
And so the owner's award is kind of doubling up on owner award in a sense, thereby diminishing the amount of award for breeders. This has been discussed quite a bit already, so.
In the Arkansas Breeders Association?
Yes, yes, it has. I mean, it's been kicked around for probably a year, hasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
So,
Because the purse has increased 3 to 4 times over the last time.
yeah. I think everybody's aware of this.
And our money has stayed similar to the same.
Did y'all sign a contract where y'all wanted to stick more with the windows and not with ADW?
Well, no, that's just what was offered, or that's just what was allowed us or given to us at the moment. And we were fine with that. We thought, I didn't understand how much we were getting when they put the casino in and changed everything. It was confusing to me the amount of money that we were gonna get by the handle, because you just didn't know. And I thought it was gonna be sufficient, and it hasn't been. But it's mainly Arkansas, it's good racing in Arkansas, bred. The purses are so big, but it's saturated the pool. They're earning so much that I can't explain it to you other than I'm the leading breeder in the state. And if my horses win $1 million, 4 years ago, I got 14.5%. 148,000. Now I'll get, but last year I got 8.8%, so I got 88,000. And to run a farm, and I depend on that as part of it. And it's good here, but it's tough. It's not as big as I thought it would be and ought to be for breeders now. But these small changes here, I think were helpful.
I mean, in the course of the ATVHA meetings, was there much comment from membership, not the board, but the general membership concerning this? Nobody said anything to me about it, but I would like to know what the general consensus was, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that own horses.
Right.
And it is the Breeders and Owners Association, so I just wonder if you had much feedback from.
No, I haven't. But everybody notices when a maiden special purse is 115 or 120,000, that's big and it's important. And that's what's opens everybody's eyes to what the Arkansas breed and all that, but they don't notice the breeders' award aspect of it. And if we'll continue to try other ways to fix things in the future.
Bill, what would you say the percentage of horses that are owned and bred that are the same, that the bear owners breed to race?
I don't
Because there's
know.
no sale, there's no Arkansas sale anymore.
No.
So how horses change hands by claiming? Is there a market for, where do owners buy for breeders? So that you would split them?
So I wouldn't know where you get that number.
I mean, you're a breeder, you sell, other people own horses that you breed.
I sell half of them on the farm and half of them in auctions in other states. And,
I would think that it could be a pretty high percentage that the owner and breeder are the same in Arkansas breeding races.
I would think it would be 70%.
So basically it's out of one pocket into the other in those cases.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's right. The only one that's coming up short is the breeder.
Correct.
Correct.
And it's just something that somebody smarter than I am needs to look into and help. And these two changes alone maybe kept it up 2%. Dan did an estimate, and it was over 10% to pay for this coming year, paying for 23.
That would come out of just the general person.
The person awards fund, what we had available, what we think we have available, and minus the stakes races and the other, but and if it holds on above 10%, then we'll increase a little for next year, we're fine. But I just was worried that it's gonna get down below. I didn't want it to keep going.
Bill, when would this be effective? For the purse money that's awarded for
Correct.
2024?
Correct. For 23 money. The readers' awards for 23 are gonna go out in April. So we've already approved these changes, and hopefully you will too.
So it would, if we approve this request, it would affect the 2023 distribution.
Correct.
Thanks.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, would it be appropriate for Commissioner Post and I to vote on this?
And I've got to say, announced that it's set here. I don't know about that. We're kind of all conflicted one way or another, yeah.
And it's not a huge amount. I mean, it's not, I had a couple people call me about this and complained about it, and that you're gonna get the money back in the other, you're getting the money back in the purses, and you're getting it in both ways. I mean, it's just kind of, but if a person that's raises horses alone, like I do, it's terrible. It just needs some help.
Which, Anthony, though, I do like that idea. Okay. In a way, we've got our finger in that pie whether I want to or not. I'm not getting any back on it at this point, but it still could be said. So I think that might not be a bad idea to turn it over to the people who have it.
Yeah, we breed the race, so the horses that we own that win, we receive breeders' awards as well. So it really doesn't impact us materially at all. So if the HDTA board has approved it and Commissioner Post was involved with some of that, if he's okay with it, then I don't have a judgment on it.
I was not involved with the.
But you're familiar with it.
Familiar with it, just.
Yeah, he meant the ATBA.
ATBH, yeah. Yeah, I was not involved in it, I only know from the minutes of the meeting.
So would we like to entertain a motion on the changes to the Arkansas Racing Commission Purse and Awards Fund? Does anybody else have a comment before we Go to this one.
I'll make a motion to approve the changes as they read in different today.
Thank you. Second. Mr. Hunter, Mr. Landers, thank you very much. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? No opposed? Thank you, unanimous. I've got to learn to wait for the telephonic response.
Thank you.
I tell somebody about power every time.
Thank you. Thank you. Oakland, have y'all got anything today?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Just for approval of our additional racing days of April 7th and May 5th. We lost some days to weather. We've agreed with the horsemen. We try to make up some by adding some races on particular days. That we've agreed with the horsemen to add 2 additional racing days. That would be April 7th and May 5th. That would be the Sunday before the eclipse, which we had previously planned not to race. And so we're going to go ahead and race that Sunday. And it's a precursor to the eclipse.
What is the eclipse?
The 8th, Monday the 8th.
Oh, there'll be tons of people at that.
I'm going to pay for rest if anybody's looking.
And then the May 5th is the Sunday after the Kentucky Derby. So that weekend would just be fulfilled to Sunday.
Make that snow day.
Give away eclipse glasses that day, you'll be real popular.
Wayne's got all those, so we're not getting stocked already.
I move approval of additional days.
I have approved, Mr. Anthony, do I have a second motion?
Let's get one thing on record. With the 2 additional requested dates, you're still under the allowed days, is that correct?
Yes, actually, that limit is a calendar year, so, we're well within that. Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. No? Ayes have it unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we got, how about an update on Saracens construction?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There we go. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just thought y'all might want to hear from the horse's mouth how we're doing. We get a lot of press about our construction, but I'll never forget that y'all are the bosses, right? We can't operate without you. And I want to give you a brief update on how things are going and also opportunity to answer any questions that you might have. I will tell you too, Commissioner Landers, you're right about those solar glasses. We've been giving them away. We are ahead. So I had a couple of updates, all related to construction or operation. But the first thing I want to tell you is that we are rolling full tilt. So hundreds of tradesmen and women on site every single day. Just last Friday, y'all may have seen it in the paper yesterday, we placed the top beam on the event center. So we should be in the dry by the end of the summer. That room is about the size of the Wally Allen Ballroom. It's easier to give a reference point than it is to give square footage. But I'm told that the concrete pour for the second floor was 2 acres. Ron had to explain to me how many square feet 2 acres is, but that's a lot of concrete. We fully expect to go vertical on the hotel side within 2 to 3 weeks, so early April. We've been doing work on the hotel project for a number of months, underground work. We've had the folks in to make sure that the footings are still sufficient. Crane bases are coming in. So the way I explain it in Pine Bluff is the cranes you see now are the small cranes. The big cranes are coming. So at the top, it will be a 13-story tower. We're adding about 440,000 square feet. So it's exciting. It's long overdue, but it's exciting. And I wanted to let y'all know. I will tell you that at this point, we plan to make full use of the evolved weapons detection systems throughout property, including entrance to the hotel, not just the event center, but entrance to the hotel. And I just want to go on the record as saying that was a transformational piece of technology for our property. It was the first installation of such in the state of Arkansas. And, to anyone and everyone I talk to in gaming, If you're not doing it, you're making a mistake. It wasn't a hard decision for us at Saracen, and some of you all have been to our property and seen it. We screen 100% of entrance through the weapons detection system. It's a fast process. It's not like the TSA, but we've seen even in focus groups that our customers and our employees appreciate knowing that they're in a safe environment. You either spend the money on the front or you lose the money on the back in terms of reputational risk, because unfortunately in this time and era, it could happen anywhere. So we will be using that property wide. And I was at the state capitol last week, walked through the machines. I understand the governor's placing them at the mansion. I've seen them at Disney. I've seen them at the Smithsonian. Absolutely game changing. And we work closely with Evolve to not just utilize that for people, but also possibly even baggage screening, just to ensure complete and total control of that building. I want to give you just a couple of property updates, if that's okay. Things are going very well. Red Oak has been named the best restaurant in the state for the third year in a row. I can't ever miss an opportunity to sell, so please come eat supper if you haven't been, but we're tickled to be named best in the state 3 years in a row. We ended February with the single best day the property has ever had. We credit that to the $80,000 pickup we gave away that night. But we fully expect to reset that record this month with a Corvette. So we're doing numbers that we've never done before, and tickled to see it. I would be remiss if I did not mention how grateful as a sportsbook operator we are for the incredible attention and work led by Secretary Hudson, who I think I saw in the back, Alan McBage and staff, and Trent Menor in keeping an eye on some strange things we were aware of that they were very much aware of going on in the internet in the world of sports betting. It's a complicated issue, and Mr. Chairman, rather than belabor the meeting too long, I will probably pin a letter to you explaining our thanks and our view of the topic. I'm cognizant of the fact, and while he's my friend, I'm glad he's not here. He's at least on the phone. Mark Lambert once asked me if I was paid by the word. So in that vein, I will not speak too much about it today, but rather write my thoughts down. A couple of other shout outs that I just want to mention. We've spent a great deal of time with the Arkansas Problem Gambling Council, and I have found them to be an incredible organization. And I realize this is a public meeting and this is being recorded, but I will tell you, when I worked in government, I did not find those leading the problem gambling efforts to be particularly credible. Today, that is not the case. Vina, who runs that organization, is phenomenal. I've spoken at their conference. I'll be speaking at their conference again this year. And with your permission, I'd like to connect her to Nikki or Smokey and possibly have her in one day for you all to at least meet her. She's a clinician by training, an addiction therapist, and I cannot tell you how impressed I am. We see her everywhere. When we go to a sports betting meeting in New York, she's there. My guys were in London for a convention a few weeks ago. Vina was there. So she's very active. She's very engaged, and she gets it. So I would welcome an opportunity to introduce her to you all if that would be appropriate. One more shout out. I don't know how familiar you all are with the W2G process and the $1,200 threshold in casinos, but I feel like this is something y'all should be aware that's going on, and it's a good thing. In 1977, the IRS determined that a jackpot was legally defined at $1,200. And what that practically means is a hand pay. There's probably some head shaking in the back. $1,200 is when the machine locks up and you can no longer be just credited on that. We actually have to pay you. There's some tax forms. For us, it was a KBI, a key behavioral indicator. We timed it and spent a lot of money on technology because initially jackpot payouts were about a 15-minute process for us. There's a bunch of problems with that. One is that's 15 minutes the player is out of the game. Number two, it's kind of annoying. I was in Atlantic City last year traveling for work and had a fellow with us who hit a jackpot. We were at the Tropicana. It took an hour to get him paid. So you think about this, somebody wins a jackpot, their experience should be inherently good, right? He hit a jackpot, he had a bad experience because he didn't want to wait an hour for his money. He did, but he didn't want to. We've moved our jackpot payout time to closer to about 5 minutes through the use of a lot of technology, a lot of captured data, signing on iPads, eliminating paperwork and the like. But Congressman French Hill's office has been in contact with us for input regarding this. And it seems like for the first time in a generation, there may be some movement about possibly changing this. The American Gaming Association has been very forward with this. But essentially in 1977, it was set, it can be changed by the IRS by rule. It's at the discretion of the Treasury Department, actually. And we're hopeful that they will make a change. Just to give you an idea, $1,200 in 1977 would be about $5,800 today. And so what that would do would be to allow people to stay in play, and we have fewer hand pays, fewer machine lockups, fewer stops. It may affect our tote rate somewhat in terms of people getting tipped on jackpots, but we're hopeful that that move happens. And again, huge shout out to Secretary Hudson, Alan McVeigh and Trent for what they're doing. And I think there'll be more to come with regard to that. They have done a tremendous job, I think, of keeping an eye on things that are gambling related, but fall outside the prescribed jurisdiction of this commission. With that, I open to any kind of questions.
Is that $1,200, is that the same as horse racing, where you have to fill out the forms? 600 times the original wager, or $1,200 or something?
It's a little bit different. I grew up going to Remington Park with my dad, and I remember my dad had many visits to the IRS window. When I go to Oklahoma, I don't find myself at that IRS window as often. No, it's a little different, and the rules are very strange. So with sports betting, it has to do with the odds, similar to horse betting, the multiplier on the odds, and this, that, and the other. Tables is similar. So rarely do we have a W2G event on tables. It can happen in extremely rare circumstances, generally with prop bets or strange side bets. But, at the tables, you deal more with CTRs, SARs, really just cash transaction reporting and suspicious activity reporting. The thing that a lot of people who are in the casino business definitely know, but people who are not that familiar with, is the back of the casino looks like a bank. And I don't mean because there's a lot of cash, but because of the reporting requirements. I mean, we have reporting requirements that even banks aren't held to, like the MTL log and others. This actually, Commissioner Anfield.
Tell anybody.
Well,
Don't tell you.
yeah, I won't, because the banks don't need them, You tell me how we can figure out if someone is going to someday cross the $10,000 threshold, Thank God for security cameras. This one's pretty simple. No matter what your basis is in a slot machine, you've got 88 cents in a penny machine, or you've got, we have machines at Saracen people spend for $250 a spin. Doesn't matter. If it hits at 1,200, it's a jackpot. So it's a hard and fast rule.
It's a completely different rule.
Completely different calculation.
Even though it's the same number, $1,200.
Yeah, it's $1,200, but there's no
Odds part.
There's no odds part. There's no accommodation for your basis in it.
Are they talking about changing for horse racing as well, the limit, or are they just gonna keep that at 1,200?
I'm not aware of it. I ask Skip when I have questions about horses, because that's a bit over my skis. I hope they do.
Sure.
I hope they do, but I can tell you it would be great for us. And I think it would be great for the industry as a whole. And you've seen bipartisan support for this one, because gaming exists in red states and blue states. So we're very hopeful, but kudos to my friend Congressman Hill for showing some interest in the issue. I know there's a letter floating around, so we'll keep an eye on it. But that's it, guys. Construction's booming and the place is doing well.
Well, I would say you were an excellent wordsmith and kept it well within the limits. So we appreciate it. And I've never heard a complaint. All I've heard is great things about the restaurant.
Well, we tried. Todd Gold was the founding dean of the Pulaski Tech Culinary School, and we've got Cordon Bleu and Culinary Institute of American graduates on staff.
And one other thing you got me, because they were the first was involved. Then Hot Springs, Oakland put it in for the race season started. And then I bought stock after seeing it and walking through there. But
it's a wonderful company. I can tell you the competing product I saw was at an Arkansas Kentucky basketball game last year, a product called Patriot. And one at a time, there's no Noah's Ark 2x2. You can walk through 2 or 3 at a time on the Evolve systems. We absolutely made the right decision. In fact, our security folks did a testimonial video for them. So I wish they'd paid me a finder's fee, because I tell everyone in gaming that I can find it. If you're not doing this, you're not doing it right.
and that That is, I think, something that we've got to take a look at, and make sure that these are as safe as we can, I don't know exactly what authority we have over that, but that somewhere that falls under I feel our responsibility to make sure that's going, you're doing the best you can.
Well, I may screw this up because you just said I've stayed under time, but one final thought on the ball. In the school districts, we talk about minimum standards. And of course, you had the Lakeview case, which created minimum standards, right? I think there is a minimum expectation of security that I know without question, Oaklawn and Southland and Saracen meet. But I do think that is an issue for really any public venue, whether it be a school system, whether it be an arena, whether
Friday
it be
night football.
Yeah. So anyway, I didn't mean to turn this into an infomercial for Evolve. I'm glad you bought stock in it because it's a wonderful company, but it's been a game changer for us. And we've seen it in the focus groups.
Good. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Anybody?
And we look forward someday to hosting you all for a meeting.
We look forward to that ourselves. What about Southland? I see the boss from Southland's here. You have anything? Anybody would ever listen to his travel itinerary, how he got there, it's quite an amazing story.
Is this on?
There we
go. Good afternoon. Thank you for your time. I don't have much to say, but we've had, I can attest to the security systems that we have in place as well, and a testament to the systems in place. A week ago, we had our busiest day in the history of Southland. We had almost 18,000 people come through our doors. A week ago, we gave away Maserati. It was a fantastic event, and we had 0 security incidents as a result of that. The property continues to do very, very well. It is a testament to the team that we have in place, that we continue to find ways to grow. Looking forward to our next phase of planning, what we do going forward. We don't have an event space yet. We don't have some of those things in place which we think are needed for our future, so we're working on some of that stuff as we go forward. So really exciting times for us, and an opportunity to keep on growing for the great state of Arkansas. So our biggest challenge of late, though, is going into this past weekend. The I-55 bridge connector will be shut down for 2 weeks. We are putting some plans in place to mitigate that. It's going to be a hard battle. We did make the governor aware that you might see some tax implications with the reductions in revenue, but we'll keep on fighting. That's all I have. Not a few words, but putting a lot of work every day. So thank you for the opportunity.
We appreciate it. I encourage anybody that hasn't been over there, that's quite something to see. And it's, I think for West Memphis, for that to prop up over there is just mind-boggling. So
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Anthony called me the other night, or texted me. Nobody calls anymore. And there was a piece on 60 Minutes that I thought everybody should try to take a look at it. It was on sports game and what all was going on, the good and the bad. And I think it was a well worth listening to program and seeing. And I will compliment Oaklawn. I had a friend, I guess he got an electronic message about his wagering. Want to know if he was sure he was within his limits, but he's a mathematical guy. He was well within his limits, I know, but I was very, very pleased that instead of trying to drag more out of it, you were saying, you sure you're playing in your sandbox, so to speak. And I was pleased to hear that. But again, what Mr. Anthony said about the 60 Minutes piece is well worth watching. Okay, let's go to license. Miss Jennifer.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have 9 vendor licenses available for approval. I've reviewed their applications and they are all in the standard requirements of the Arkansas Center. To recommend their approval.
Jennifer. Matthew. Ms. Jennifer has asked for consideration approval of 9 license. Do I have a motion, please? Motion. Mr. Landers, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second, Mr. Hunter, thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Unanimous, thank you. And are you on the consideration approval of games? Well, that was all that, wasn't it?
Well, it's not usually.
Okay, I see your check. I'm sorry.
Jennifer and GLI approve it.
That's okay.
You actually play all of these games?
Not all of them all at the same time, but we give the properties plenty to choose from to put on their board and make them.
68 of
them.
68,
yeah.
Property patrons. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll need a motion to approve of 68 approval of games. Got a second. Got a second. Opposed? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, unanimous. Thank you. Is any other business or announcement somebody else want to say? Again, I would like to thank the Attorney General's office for, I think they've done an excellent job in guiding us, and I think everybody's ready for the process to get started, and let's get something done for Polk County, and we can. And I realize it's not everybody in Polk County's work, but that's the law, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Sorry. Thank you. Arkansas Racing Commission adjourned. Thank you.